Hi, I'm Hani Gluck, and you are listening to Growing Global. I am passionate about helping entrepreneurs grow and scale their business. I've been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades. I built my own businesses, sold a business, and continue to leverage the global economy. Growing Global is about educating, inspiring, and motivating entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs on how to take yourself and your business to the next level.
Super excited to introduce Akiva Greenfield today. Akiva is the CEO of Nexus. He's the typical global entrepreneur who really has realized that there is a big world out there, and he's leveraging those global resources, both in California, in the US, the Philippines. He's built a very, very impressive billing company, and we want to hear more about it. So thanks, Akiva, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. Okay, so tell us about you have this all these different interests. I mean, you're one of those people that have grown so many different companies or been involved in so many different companies. What do you feel drives you, or what are you passionate about when it comes to business?
So when I started Nexus back in 2010, I was really passionate about doing my own thing and being my own boss. I know that sounds a little bit funny, but that was really my passion at first, and was trying to solve sort of an issue that I was having, which was I was working in a private equity firm. I didn't feel like I was really having much input in my day-to-day. I didn't really have control over what I was doing. When the opportunity presented itself to run this billing company, to be involved in the billing company, that was really what inspired me in the beginning. What inspires me now, and sort of my motivation now, is I really think that we offer a really good service to our physicians, and not just like a typical, we try not to be like a typical billing company in the sense that where we just are sending claims out and doing follow-up, but really trying to be partners with our practices that we're working with, so that we give them insights into their practice, and really try to give them data that makes sense so that they can make real decisions. And I think that's what inspires me now, is really looking at ourselves as a partnership with the practices that we're working with.
Very cool. I remember you telling me, which is the most impressive thing that you've said to me, was that you've built your business and you have lots of employees. I mean, you're one of the larger billing companies in the country, and you said you built it solely on word of mouth. So tell us more about that and how that happened.
Yeah, so when I started the company in 2010, we had one surgeon, a general surgeon that we were doing the billing for, and he was going through some financial issues with his previous biller, was looking for a solution. And I had learned medical billing for the year before, and decided that he would be my first client with my own new business. And I made it a point of really figuring out where he was making money and where he was losing money. So I wasn't just looking at the billing, but I was looking at on the expenses, what his expenses were, trying to really figure out where, in terms of if he was making money in the office, if he was making money in a surgery center, if he was making money in the hospital, and really trying to give him insights into what was driving his practice. And it turns out he was very busy, but he was busy with assisting surgeons on other cases and not doing his own cases. And he was shocked when we sat down a couple months into starting together, and me showing him that he was making less than an office visit for some of the assisting cases that he was doing. And I think a lot of times the physicians equate being busy with being successful. If their calendar's packed, they're looking at they should be doing well financially, but oftentimes they're not doing the right cases. They're not focused on the right types of things. And so I was able to give him that insight. And at the same time, he was extremely busy, and I would meet with him whenever. That meant that if he was rounding in the hospital on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock at night after a day with his family, I would meet him at the hospital. And I would walk around with him as he would do rounds, and people would see me, other doctors would see me, like, who is that guy walking with this doctor? And that sort of got me my name out there, and our company's name out there is, okay, these are the guys that are willing to be in the hospital at Sunday at night at 10 o'clock at night. And so that gave us some familiarity with a lot of his friends and colleagues. And slowly, as doctors would ask him, like, who is that guy you're with? I was like, oh, he's my biller. I go, wow, my biller doesn't meet with me on the weekends. And so it was slowly word of mouth. You know, a lot of his colleagues started using us. And then we tried to offer the same level of service to all of our clients. And obviously it was easier when we had a handful of clients than it is today when we have close to 400 providers that we're working with. But we truly try to have that same mentality of really trying to be there for the providers whenever they want us to. And that's not an easy thing. Like I said, it's much easier when you have 10 providers than when you have 400.
So tell us, how do you scale now? Because I think there are a lot of companies out there that have this type of relationship in the beginning, but they feel like they're so necessary in this process that they're afraid to get any bigger because they feel like they can't possibly do it with that many providers. So maybe explain to us how you managed to do that.
So I haven't done a great job with it. It's a work in progress. So for me, the most important thing is really trying to figure out how to get out of the weeds. And you want to have your finger on the pulse of the practice, and you think that as a billing company owner, you sort of think the only way you can do that is if you're in the weeds, if you know what's going on with the physician's account at all times, if you're involved day to day in that account. But really, if you can hire staff, if you can work with your staff so that they're doing a lot of the quote unquote dirty work, and you can just focus on making sure that their account is healthy and trying to figure out ways of trying to build reports that you can look at to make sure that you know that the account is running properly and that you can give proper feedback to the providers. So I feel like that's one of the things that we've done really well is I've had the ability to, even though I'm not involved day to day every single practice, I do feel like I know what's going on in all the practices that we work with. And I can, at any time if a provider calls me and says what's going on, I can give them a real answer. So that's one part. The other part is like trying to be proactive. And I think that oftentimes with in the medical billing in general, and in any business, almost everything is reactive. You sort of wait till the provider calls you and says, hey, what's going on? Why isn't any money coming in? And then you start spinning your wheels and trying to figure out what's going on and getting the account clean. But we're trying to really be proactive. And so we're constantly looking at anything, if there's any glitches, if there's anything weird in the account, if there's anything that we should know about before it becomes an issue. And that's something that we do almost daily. We built dashboards to really try to find issues, to see if money's coming in, to make sure that claims are going out. And these are things I wish I would have done when we had 10 practices. Because I think I found myself in the beginning too involved in the details. And it was good for the first couple of years, so I learned the business, and I learned all of the things that were necessary. But I think I could have grown the business even earlier had I let myself sort of take it a step back.
That's great. I mean, building technology is always helpful in scaling a business. Aside from the dashboards, is there anything else where you've implemented technology and leveraged technology?
Sure. So we've done a lot with technology. We've done a couple things. So the couple things that we've done from a smaller scale is Power BI. So we've used Power BI, Microsoft's dashboarding system, throughout our organization, so that almost every team member has some sort of dashboard that they're looking at on a daily basis. So we've done it in two different ways. So we've used technology both internally and externally. Internally, for our operations, we use Power BI, and then we've also used Power BI for our clients as well. So many of our clients have access to their dashboards, and we've built reporting for them so that they can see live data of the certain things that they want. The other ways internally that we've built technology is we use a system called NAC, and that we track almost all of our what we call queries, any questions that we have for providers, where we're sending information back to the provider's office. And then a lot of the internal tracking for like credentialing, we use NAC, and we've built a whole platform through that. And then we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money building an AR workflow software over the last year. It's called Pulse, and what it does is, it takes all of the data out from the systems. We use Carrier mostly, but it takes all the data out every night, and it puts all of it into Pulse. And what it does is it basically breaks down every claim and it assigns it to somebody in our office, so that when an employee walks into the office in the morning, they know exactly what their workflow is going to be. So if we assign, let's say, a claim gets denied for medical records, so we'll have someone in our team who's solely responsible for medical records. And so every day that person will come in, go into Pulse, and we'll see all the claims that need to be sent out for medical records. If there's a claim denied for eligibility, it'll go to a customer service team member who will call the patient or try to figure out what's going on with that patient's insurance. So we've spent a lot of time trying to try to break down the process for our staff so that they know what they're doing every day. And that allows us to track productivity as well.
Very impressive. So you have all this going on. Tell me, what are you the most challenged by at this point where you are in your business right now?
Yeah, so I think for me and the team, and I think for a lot of business owners struggle with this, it's sort of like feeling that there's like a black hole around you. As we've grown, it's hard. It's hard to sort of know that everything is going smoothly. We have around 50 people working with us in the LA office. We have about 130 people in our Chennai office, and we have about 20 people now in the Philippines. And I try to know everybody and be involved with everybody, and that's hard. That part's been really hard. And I think that when that happens, you sort of, your first reaction as a business owner is to say, wow, everything is just, I have no control, and everything is a black hole. And so for me, it's like constantly trying to get myself out of that and saying, no, things are going well. We've got good managers in place. We've got a good team in place. We've got good processes. But it's that first reaction, I think, is really hard for myself, and I think for a lot of business owners.
Letting go of the control and knowing that you're not going to be in control of everything all the time.
Correct.
It's just so challenging, for sure. But there's a freedom in letting go, right? Just knowing that, you don't have to deal with everything, and you have some really great people that can.
Definitely. And I think that's the key, I think, to any business growing, is surrounding yourself around people that are quality, that care about the business as much as you do, so that you can sort of take a step back and give it over to other people.
So speaking of which, giving it to other people, I know that you've worked with some family members and maybe currently working with some family members. For anyone that's listening, what advice would you give about working with family?
So I think when people say never work with family, and I hear that all the time, I think what that really means, what people are really saying is, don't work with people that you can't have an honest conversation with. So it would be very hard. I used to go to a class once a week, and when I was I was in a previous building on Wilshire Boulevard, and I used to go to this class once a week, and it was owned by the owner of the building was an older Holocaust survivor. He was in his 90s, and he had a huge real estate development company. And his son, who was in his 60s, was running the company. Now, he was the CEO of the company, and the father was sort of on the board of directors. And I used to go into their office all the time, and I used to always hear them arguing and having really heated debates. But they had a lot of clarity, and it wasn't confrontational. It was very clear. They weren't fighting; they were just arguing. But it was to try to get a real understanding of each other. And I was like, wow, that blew my mind. That a father and a son could talk like that, just so directly and so honestly. I think that's the key to a successful family business, is being able to have honest conversations, because things are going to come up, and any business is going to have ups and downs, and probably more downs than ups. And I think that if you have family members, and my brother-in-law is my partner, that part's hard because you have to have an honest conversation that you would normally have with someone that you're not going to see on a weekend. You're not going to see it at a family event. And you can sort of break that out. So you can have two different lives. You can have your work life and your personal life. But when it's mixed, that's a hard thing. So it's something that's been a challenge for me. But I think my brother-in-law and I are really good about just like getting to the point, not being sort of not having to tread on thin ice, like just like get to the point and be very blunt with each other.
Very cool. I think that's awesome. And it's a testament to you as a person that you're able to do that with your family and have this successful relationship with your brother-in-law. I think that's awesome. So tell us about what lessons you've learned or what things have worked for you, what hasn't, anything that you would want to share with our listener.
Sure. So I think, from the medical billing, I think the lessons that I've learned are, and this is sound a little bit strange, but like is really for me is like knowing what you do well and sticking to it. Sort of like staying in my lane. That's like the thing that's gotten me in the most issues is taking on clients that I shouldn't have. It's either specialties that we weren't familiar with or practices that I knew weren't a good fit for our business. So for me, it's like sort of the shiny things, like all these things that become exciting as you're starting your business. You have opportunities present themselves, but it's really trying to focus on your core business. For me, that's been if you're looking back, all the challenges that we've had have been that. It's been knowing that like there was a potential to grow the business, but for us, it wasn't the right way to grow it. It was a client that didn't mesh with us. It didn't personality-wise, and that we weren't able to give that level of service that we wanted to. And I think that's the biggest lesson for us is like just really understanding what our core competency is and like really sticking to that, really understanding it and really, and what we should have done better is market that. Say this is what we're really good at. These are the clients that we've done a really good job for, and here's how we can help you as opposed to like just like spreading out to everybody, that we can help everybody.
Okay, so certain specialties that you focus on, certain practice sizes that you focus on, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for us, specialties like very important, like type of specialties. But more importantly is the size of the practice. In the beginning, we would take anybody on, and we realized that sometimes these smaller practices just weren't worth it for us financially. You're doing as much work as you are sometimes for a smaller practice as you are for a larger practice. And so we've been really good lately about trying to making sure that when there's a lead for us, that it's a right fit for us and for them.
Right. Where they say the best clients the best clients you have are the ones you don't take, right? Because if you sense that they're not the right fit, better to say no than get into that relationship. Then they have bad feelings towards you. Never a good situation.
Exactly.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so I know we're almost at the end of our time here, but tell us, for the people that want to find you, where can we find Akiva Greenfield?
Sure. So our website is nexushs.com, like nexushealthsolutions.com. You can see our company. I'm actually very proud of our website, so I hope you do go see our website. And then obviously I'm on LinkedIn as well under Akiva Greenfield.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Akiva.
Of course. Thank you, Connie. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening today. For more information on how to grow your business, visit our website at 4dglobalinc.com. Click on the Owners Academy tab for more videos on sales, marketing, operations,